Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. Thanks for joining. We've got a lot to talk about here, and this is some really important stuff. And I want to talk about what's going on with Tucker and Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and everything that's going on, because the big picture here has gotten lost. You know, we have spent the 4 years between Trump's two terms, what we have been doing and what President Trump suffered through and suffered for and sacrificed for is being tossed away by Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Candace Owens. And I did not want to talk about this on the program, but it has to be done because I was doing my show prep this afternoon, and I saw this morning when I was doing my show prep for the morning show, and I ignored it. And when I was going through the news this afternoon for the podcast, this stuff is like trending, and Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. So and there may be some other names, but Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and there may be some other names. Okay. I mean, I am so furious. It's even hard for me to focus in on where to begin here. But what is the MAGA movement all about to you? What's it all about to you? You know, the Make America Great Again movement. The movement founded and led by Donald Trump. What does that movement mean to you? What's it about? Well, I'll tell you what it's about. It's obviously about making America great again and pursuing the great agenda of President Trump in both of his terms. But the main agenda that we have, and we've accomplished a lot of it, the main agenda we have is defeating the deep state, the Washington bureaucracy, and making the fake news corporate mainstream media irrelevant. That's our main mission. Because unless you make the fake news corporate mainstream media irrelevant, as well as the deep state and the Washington bureaucracy, nothing else can get done. These are the people that keep us in the way that we've been all these years. This illusion of being in a free country when we've been governed by the deep state, bureaucracy, and all these people. So what President Trump has done is nothing short of a miracle. He literally, not figuratively, he literally dodged a speeding bullet. He got shot and survived. And if you remember, this is an important point because we see people rewriting history as we're experiencing it and living it. There's one reason and one reason only that President Trump survived in Butler. Of course, well, beyond Jesus, beyond God intervening. Okay, that's the big one. So there's two reasons. That's the first. But the other one is this. In President Trump's, and this is very important for what these monsters are doing, the Tuckers, the Megyns, the Candaces, and I'm very confused by Marjorie Taylor Greene, but what happened in Butler was this. President Trump, in his campaign rallies, every rally he was going to that PowerPoint showing the illegal border crossings. Remember that bar graph? They would show it on the big screen, right? And at this particular, in Butler, for whatever reason, due to where things were set up or whatever happened, the screen that showed it was the opposite side of the stage as normal. So his head was turned in a different way than it normally would. That's why he got shot in the ear and not the head. And when the same people behind the Trump assassination attempt in Butler are the same people that assassinated Charlie Kirk, the same people that assassinated President Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. It's deep state op, okay? they had trained that monster to take the shot when that graph came up, and he had trained with the graph on the other side of the stage. That's what happened. Their plan after Butler, because they thought things were going to turn out a different way, was to nominate Nikki Haley at the top of the ticket with her running mate Ron DeSantis. And then whoever won, they didn't care. MAGA movement was over, and they had regained. So what we have been fighting for, what President Trump has been fighting and sacrificing for, okay, and what Charlie Kirk died for was, yes, to make America great again with our agenda that President Trump's doing all the time, but mainly defeat the deep state, defeat the bureaucracy, and make the mainstream corporate media irrelevant. So fast forward, because we don't need to go through everything, Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay? This is what the enemies of Trump have told themselves that have done all these things. Okay? They've told themselves this. Well, this is Trump's second term. He won't be able to run again, so we can make our move to get back in power. But Charlie Kirk and anybody who tells you they knew how involved he was is lying to you. I don't think anyone knew outside of the inner circle of Trump how involved Charlie Kirk was with the entire Trump administration. Because of Charlie Kirk, we have J.D. Vance, we have Bobby Kennedy and others. And we have this mass youth movement of MAGA people. I mean, young people are MAGA now, right? That was unheard of before, to have young people as Republicans. So they assassinated the same people that shot Trump and Butler, try to do it again at the golf course. They assassinated Charlie Kirk and to stop the MAGA movement. They assassinated Charlie Kirk to stop his movement, to stop Turning Point USA from continuing its good work. And Turning Point USA is on the verge of complete collapse right now because of Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. Okay? That is a fact. You see everything that's going on. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was part of the operation in Butler. And what we see going on right now with this propping up of Nick Fuentes and everything, this is all about destroying Turning Point USA, the MAGA movement, and stopping the Turning Point, the youth vote from going Republican. So we've got these different personalities, and it really is amazing. These high-end, the top well-known influencers, right? The big ones, Tucker, Megyn Kelly, and Candace Owens. These are the top three, conservative influencers. They all have big backing behind them. Megyn Kelly is with Sirius. Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly are both syndicated through a podcast syndicator that is owned by Fox News. So they're both back at Fox News, believe it or not, as crazy as that sounds. Candace Owens announced this week that she's got the #1 podcast in the world, promoting, she's saying now that she's disappointed in Trump and all this stuff, if you saw her on this Piers Morgan interview this week. So Charlie Kirk was keeping all of these conservative influencers under control. He was their leader, and they're leaderless now, and they all have competing interests. Now, a lot of people are saying that Tucker Carlson's getting paid by Qatar. I don't know, but he's certainly working very hard to undermine President Trump and the MAGA movement. But what Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and Tucker are doing, and there's some others too, but these are the main three that we're talking about right now because they're the ones doing the main damage. They are working very, very hard to be #1 and be the voice of the conservative influencer space. And they're destroying it. This is what I believe is going on with Tucker Carlson. I believe Tucker Carlson is involved in a psyop to bring down the MAGA movement. I believe that in my heart. I'm following everything that's going on. We all know that Tucker's dad was a lifelong CIA guy. I believe he's CIA. Now, that doesn't mean he's not getting paid by people too, but he's CIA. And you know what? Nick Fuentes very well may be. And that's not me talking, remember? Tucker said he thought that Nick Fuentes was a Fed. So earlier this week, the New York Times said that Nick Fuentes has replaced Charlie Kirk as leader of the youth conservative movement. And they put this picture of him that was some artist rendering to make him look like some model as opposed to what he really looks like. And what Tucker Carlson has done, he's elevated Nick Fuentes, okay? And what's happened is he is, one, destroying the youth MAGA movement in the beginnings of it. Dinesh D'Souza has said on more than one occasion this week that if Tucker continues doing this with Fuentes, that minorities are going to leave the MAGA movement. And I think he's talking about himself even, okay? So there's all kinds of craziness going on here. No doubt about it. So, yeah, I know. This is nuts, what's happening right now. This is nuts. So what Tucker is doing by elevating Nick Fuentes is he's helping, and this is the PSYOP. He's identifying the MAGA youth movement as a white supremacist, white nationalist, racist movement. Now, I'm not saying these things are true or untrue of Nick Fuentes because I don't care about him. I don't listen to him. The little clips I've seen of him, I'm not interested. Some of it might be my age, but I'm not interested in what I've seen or heard. I did watch the interview that Tucker did with him the other day. I did watch that interview, but I don't watch his show or anything. It doesn't matter what he is or isn't. That's what he's known as. And Tucker Carlson has elevated him and is getting our great youth MAGA movement that Charlie Kirk gave his life for. Keep in mind, Charlie Kirk's widow was given the award, right, at the Fox Hero Awards. I guess it'd be Heroin Awards in her case. Charlie Kirk is dead. He was assassinated because of this movement that he built up. And Tucker Carlson is going around propping up Nick Fuentes, destroying the movement and the entire organization that Charlie Kirk gave his life for. I'm not going to sit here and play all these clips of Megyn and Tucker and Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro's another one. He's not as bad as these guys, but he's playing a role too, although on the fringes of it. So they're all of these people, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ben Shapiro, and Mark Levin, okay? They're all working to destroy the MAGA movement. And I'll tell you this, let's go through them. Mark Levin was a never-Trumper. Ben Shapiro was a never-Trumper. Tucker Carlson is on the record of saying terrible things about the president. Megyn Kelly was a never-Trumper. Nick Fuentes, I don't know what that's about, okay? These never-Trumpers are not the MAGA movement influencers. There are MAGA influencers, but they are not MAGA. This is a group of never-Trumpers who, after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, have somehow anointed themselves as the MAGA influencers. And what are they doing? Destroying our movement. And they're effective at it. It's working. That's why I'm here talking about it right now. And now Mark Levin, yeah, he was a never-Trumper in the first campaign. I stopped listening to him in Trump's first campaign. And so was Ben Shapiro. So we got a bunch of never-Trumpers who are claiming to be MAGA, some of them not, who are all working at different degrees and on different angles of destroying this movement for the establishment. In fact, these so-called conservative influencers that everybody's propping up are doing more damage to President Trump and this great movement than the fake news media ever did. Boy, oh boy. If you're on hold, stand by. Now, I want to tell you, when I go to the phones, I'm talking about this, okay? I'm not going to get sidetracked into 8 different issues all over the place. We're talking about this. And I know a lot of people say, well, in America first, and Tucker said, oh, he met with Benjamin Netanyahu right after he got elected. So what? We have allies around the world. By the way, the Israeli-Gaza war, the Israeli-Iranian war is ended. They were both ended by Trump against what Israel wanted. Israel doesn't control us, we control them. Even Officer Tatum said that. Officer Tatum did an interview with these British podcasters. I saw some of. I can't remember that. I meant to tell you guys the name of the podcast. I forgot. It starts with a T. Something Ometry. I can't remember the name of the podcast. And he said this too. He was talking about these people. They say that Israel controls us. No, we control Israel. It's the other way around. You can be America first and still have allies around the world, all right? Oh, no, I'm America first. No, you're not. These people, it's like having the Weekly Standard and saying that there are conservative MAGA influencers right now. Don't you understand? They have all told themselves Trump is in his second term. This is it. And when he is out of office, we will be able to either get a Democrat in, which will break the back of the MAGA movement, or we'll get some fake MAGA in there, MAGA and name only Republican, and the establishment will be back. These people, some of them know it and some of them don't. They're working basically for the Bushes, the Weekly Standard, the Never Trumpers. Some of them are very well aware of it. Candace Owens, she's a psychotic person. She is making so much money. She's literally making millions of dollars now, close to it. Over the course of a year, she is for sure. Just on YouTube alone, she's making over $200,000 a month just from YouTube every month. That doesn't include her ad deals and other things she's got going on. That's a month, by the way, over $200,000 a month just on YouTube, or some of the more recent estimates. So she was a Never Trumper at one time too. She got her start on Periscope. I used to be on Periscope. I remember her back then. She was a Never Trumper back in those early Periscope days. And then she got red pilled. It had something to do with Cernovich. Somehow Cernovich and red pilled her. I can't remember how. I don't remember the whole story. But she was a Never Trumper too on Periscope in the early days. And then something happened with Cernovich and some things, and she became red pilled. And she got to where she is. So these are all at one point a Never Trump. Now, I'm here to tell you, I've been with President Trump, not only since he came down the escalator, when he was first talking about running for president back in 2011. That's the year Romney got the nomination. I was supporting Trump for president then. And I know a lot of you were too. But all of these people that I'm talking about, Candace, Megyn, Tucker, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, all of them at one time were very open Never Trumpers. So is it just a coincidence that they're doing the things that they're doing now? No, it's not. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. If you are watching live, you can call me. All right, the number is 888-465-2631. It is pinned in the live chat. But I want to tell you, I'm sticking to the topics at hand here, okay? This is not an open phone period, so if you're going to call in about other things, it's going to be a very short call. But I want to hear your thoughts on everything I brought up so far. Again, the number is toll-free no matter where you're watching. If you're tuned in live, it's 888-465-2631. Now, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for The Brian Craig Show, and I'll pop up. And if you want to catch the show live, when I'm taking calls and see it in video form, YouTube. Go to YouTube or YouTube Music, type in The Brian Craig Show, and I'll come up there. All right, we're going to take our first break, come back. There's so much to cover. Don't go anywhere.
Are you looking for a gift that lasts a lifetime? One that's personal, powerful, and proudly American-made? At Back 40 Metalworks on Etsy, that's Works, W-O-R-X. They turn ideas into steel. Since 2010, Back 40 Metalworks has been crafting over 200 unique metal art designs, from wildlife and rustic decor to modern wall pieces and custom creations. With more than 30 years of experience working with metal, they know how to shape your vision into into something extraordinary. Need a personalized welcome sign for your home? A company logo? A one-of-a-kind Christmas gift? Something for mom or dad on their day? Or any other day of the year? Every piece at Back 40 Metalworks is built to last, indoors or out, and every design tells a story, your story, in steel. Visit the shop online right now, back40metalworks.etsy.com. That's WORX, and view the inventory. You will be impressed. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. They turn ideas into steel. Have you ever heard something in the dark and told yourself it was nothing? Or read about a case so bizarre you couldn't stop thinking about it? That's the world of Perplexed Podcast, where hosts Kate and Sarah investigate the unexplained, the unsolved, and the utterly strange. Kate's a true believer in all things weird, UFOs, hauntings, and mysteries that defy logic. Sarah, she's a skeptic. She questions everything, demanding the facts and bringing balance to each and every story. Together, they explore the darkest corners of true crime and the most mystifying tales our world has to offer. From the chilling crimes of Ed Gein to the eerie legends of the Flatwoods Monster, the Dover Demon, and Richard Chase, the Vampire of Sacramento. Nothing is too strange for Perplexed Podcast, because sometimes the questions are more fascinating than the answers. Perplexed Podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcast. Tune in right now.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You can call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
Have you ever built a life that looked perfect on the outside, yet still felt like you didn't belong? Entrepreneur, educator, and author Luke Lee shares a deeply moving memoir about displacement, achievement, and the lifelong journey to say welcome home to yourself in The Vending Machine Prophet, available on Amazon. At 7 years old in Shanghai, author Luke Lee made himself a promise: never give anyone the power to hang his shame for the world to see. That vow took him across 3 continents, from Tokyo playgrounds to Canadian classrooms to boardrooms in Seattle, chasing success, recognition, and a place that finally felt like home. But what happens when you achieve everything and still feel alone? The Vending Machine Prophet is for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, climbed every mountain, and wondered why the view still felt empty. When you read The Vending Machine Prophet, you'll discover how to stop performing and start belonging, because home isn't a destination, it's something you carry within. The Vending Machine Prophet from author Luke Lee is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. This book makes a great addition to your book club. Order your copy right now.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Our number, if you're watching live, is 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
You know, now we know if your theory about Fuentes is true and he's deep state, now we know how he got in that meeting when he came with Kanye.
With Kanye, when he made his way in there. Yeah, if you remember, they like to say sometimes, "Oh, Nick Fuentes had lunch with the president." He got in there on Kanye's coattails. President Trump didn't know who he was. Kanye showed up unannounced. Trump let him in with his entourage. Nick Fuentes was there. So that was I couldn't get into Mar-a-Lago on someone's coattails secretly like that. I wouldn't even attempt it. That was some type of op to brand Trump. I remember by the way, thanks, Mike, for reminding me of that. Remember what they were saying in the media? Oh, he had lunch with a white nationalist. Ooh, what? Remember that? So this is the second time. That's how few white nationalists they are. They have to reuse the same one over and over. This is the second op that they've used Nick Fuentes in. And I want to tell you, these never Trumpers, whether they're deep state or they're being paid or they're just opportunists, people that, there are people out there that have all kinds of addictions. fame is an addiction. Views is an addiction. I was talking earlier. I was at this crypto event that I saw Eric Trump at yesterday, and they had some crypto influencers there, and they were speaking at one of these things. And while I was waiting for Eric Trump, I went and listened to these these crypto influencers. I can't remember their names. I don't know. Apparently, they're pretty famous in the crypto space. And they were taking questions. They had like a moderator, and they were talking about, how they've evolved and what they do. And what they all said is they go by the trends. Well, back in way back in 23, the trend was this, so I was doing a lot of that on my content. But now it's this, so I'm doing this and that, and because it's trendy. There is some of that in play too with some of these conservative influencers. Make no mistake about it. They go, and there's a popular a popular trend right now, and that is the trend of anti-Semitism and being anti-Israel. Oh, I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm just America first, and America first, and give me a break. I don't hear them talking about us withdrawing our military forces from Germany that have been there since 45, or Japan that have been there since 45, right? Or the African command where we have just there. Come on, give me a break. It is what it is. And what's happened is, now Marjorie Taylor Greene's in a different category. Let me just talk about her for a minute. What's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene's different. She says crazy anti-Trump things, no doubt about it. But so far, she's voted 100% with Trump. Okay? So we haven't had any votes with her where she's gone against the president. So I will give Marjorie Taylor Greene that. All right? That's very important to understand and to point out. I don't know what game she's running, but she's pissed off. But I know that her boyfriend, Brian Glenn, is in the Oval Office for every press conference, and President Trump loves him and goes to him first every time. And if President Trump were angry at Marjorie Taylor Greene, would he give Brian Glenn the first question and have these long Oval Office events with him there interacting with world leaders and such? I don't think so. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't like a lot of the things she's saying and everything else, but she's voting the right way. And President Trump doesn't seem to be upset with her because of his relationship with her boyfriend, Brian Glenn. But these influencers, on the other hand, while some of them, like Candace Owens, is crazy, and she's got a few things going on, Candace Owens. One, whatever mental condition she has, the way it manifests itself in her is when she feels slighted. Something happened at the Daily Wire, so she's angry at Ben Shapiro, so she's become an anti-Semite, which she never was before, an anti-Israeli anti-Semite. Charlie Kirk's assassinated. She feels that she should be the leader, or at least the front person for Turning Point, and she's not because of her anti-Israeli anti-Semitism, so she's trying to destroy them. And she's making millions of dollars a year now with this anti-Semitic thing and these bizarro conspiracies that she has around Charlie Kirk's assassination and other things. So her thing is she's on a revenge tour with Turning Point and Shapiro, and it manifests in these things. And now, #1 podcast in the world as of this week, she reported, and I know she's making millions of dollars a year on the podcast. So that there's also that aspect, the money aspect, the view aspect, and her revenge tour. She's not part of some never Trumper plot. She's helping them, but for selfish reasons. All right, back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yep, once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Jay from Jersey.
Hey, Jay.
I was listening to your topic today, and your topic seems to be that a lot of, let me see, what I was talking about earlier, MAGA is turning against being MAGA.
No. In fact, what I was saying, Jay, was this. Tucker Carlson has been a never-Trumper. Megyn Kelly, a never-Trumper. Mark Levin, a never-Trumper, right? Ben Shapiro, a never-Trumper. These are never-Trumpers that were openly never-Trumpers, and they're just doing it again. They're not MAGA.
Okay,
They're not
so at
MAGA.
the same
If you
time-
thought they were
okay.
MAGA, they were pretending. They were fake MAGA for a while.
Okay, but listen to this. I explained to you earlier that I worked with a MAGA person.
Don't tell that
I didn't-
same old story
Okay,
that you
wait a
told on the
minute.
show
Can
this
I
morning.
finish what I'm saying? Can I finish what I'm saying? He's MAGA, and he's red. He's purple now after talking
I don't
to me
believe
for
that. You
15
have
hours.
him call me. I'll talk to him. I don't buy that. I don't
Okay,
believe your
but
story.
no.
But I'm not
Listen,
talking about
can
you
I-
and your friend. I'm talking about this.
Okay, I'm talking about you saying that people are turning from being MAGA.
No, I'm talking
You're
about.
acting like
I'm talking
it's
about.
just
I'm not. That's
happening.
not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
That's what
these.
you just
No,
said.
I'm talking about these conservative influencers that are working to destroy the Trump MAGA movement. They were all never Trumpers. They're all never Trumpers.
But that's okay. So a lot more are doing it too.
No, they didn't.
And when I
No,
said
they
that
didn't. No,
earlier-
they didn't switch. They never were with Trump. All right, enough. I heard that story this morning. It was BS then, and it's more BS now. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right. No, see, you got, people have forgotten that these are never Trumpers. Okay. Now, what's happened with a lot of them is the never Trumper business wasn't going too well. So, to rise on their own and everything else, they had to pretend to be with Trump. Did I leave out Mark Levin? That was another never Trumper. So, no, these are not MAGA people that have, for whatever reason, switched. These are never Trumpers that have always been never Trumpers. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Will.
Yeah, Will. Where are you calling from?
Kansas.
All right, Will in Kansas. What's on your mind?
Not much. I was just listening to you talk about the new Charlie Kirk movement. Maybe his widow. I'm not sure. And Margie told me, so I just wanted to hear you on the air.
Well, you were listening, so
Yeah, no. Now I hear you. MTG. That's her initials, right?
Marjorie Taylor
Yeah,
Greene,
she wanted
MTG.
to-
Yes.
Yeah, she was like talking bad about Trump and the Republican Party, and it
Yes.
sounds upsetting to everybody. And
She's been talking negatively about Trump, but she has voted 100% with Trump in her congressional votes,
Yeah.
which is important
yeah,
to
no,
point out.
I get that.
Yeah.
But randomly, to her point or credit, if you'd give her or not, the Republicans haven't even gone to work in almost a month or two now.
Well, Congress
And-
is not always in session. They take breaks and such, and now we're coming into the holiday period. Congress doesn't work that much.
That, but you can go to work and try to, have a deal with the opposite party.
The
one side is going to work and the other side isn't.
No, that's not true.
So
that's not true.
So
That's not true.
The Republicans haven't been to work in
No.
over a month.
That's not
And
true.
the Democratic Party has been
None
there,
of what
so
none of what you've said is
maybe
true.
What the Republicans should go and try
excuse
to,
me.
present a deal.
Excuse me. Do they know how to have manners in Kansas? I thought in Kansas they had manners. No. You just don't understand what's going on. This budget deal is in the Senate. The Republicans in the Senate have taken multiple votes. I've lost track of how many. They've been there taking votes. It's not in the House. It's in the Senate, not the House. So that doesn't matter if the House is in session or not. It's in the Senate. Okay? All right. Oh, boy. I tell you, these people. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. I do want to hear your thoughts on everything I brought up with Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene and such. But, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in other parts of the world. And this in particular, this is very upsetting. Did you see this guy? This was on Good Morning Britain, which Piers Morgan used to host. But remember that? He had some temper tantrum and stormed off like a lunatic a couple years back. They had on a World War II veteran. He's an Englishman, and he's on Good Morning Britain. And they have in their Remembrance Day. And this is heartbreaking. All you need, it explains itself, but this is an Englishman who's a World War II veteran. She's trying to just shoo this World War II veteran off TV. This is live, and this is not going the way that they wanted it to go. And she's trying to get rid of this one. I mean, how many World War II veterans are there left alive? The D-Day darlings. Oh my goodness. I mean, and what he's talking about is what's happened to their country, which is about what's happening in New York right now. And this is not the first Englishman I've heard. A friend of mine, he's originally from England. We were talking, this was on our MAGA cruise, and he was telling me the same thing. He says, what did my father fight for in World War II? For this? What they have over there now? Their country has fallen and it's been conquered. And they've used political correctness, and liberal lunatics have walked them right into losing their country. And that's the step we've just taken in New York City. Make no mistake about it. I was talking earlier, a couple days ago, the day after the election in New York, and I'm still seeing these endless talking heads talking about Zohan Mamdani, and they're talking about him as either a democratic socialist or as a communist. He's neither of those. Okay? That's his front. That's his cover. He's a radical revolutionary who has one agenda and one agenda only: the downfall of New York City and the downfall of the United States of America. He's a revolutionary figure. He's like a Fidel Castro type. Okay, and we saw we saw a bit of his real personality with his acceptance speech, and even Van Jones on CNN was like, you could tell he was like, what did we do? What did we do? He was having a lot of regret, Van Jones. Remember that the other night during that victory speech? It's pretty brutal, wasn't it? So to sit around about Mamdani and talk to him like he's a democratic socialist or a communist, that's not what he's about at all. That's just his cover to get these stupid white liberals in New York City to vote for him. And they're dummies, and they voted for... a lot of them, you hear it sometimes with these guys that call me, they have read an article or a Wikipedia page, or maybe they even been to college, and they think they know everything. All they have are things from books and articles memorized a little bit that they're regurgitating, and they have no understanding of the things that they're saying or analyzing, right? And most young people in this country were, before Charlie Kirk and his work, were like these young people in New York. I mean, look at in New York. Mamdani went to this gay bar, right, on election eve. It's illegal to be gay in these Muslim countries. You can't even drink alcohol in them. And if you're gay, there's like death sentences in some of these Muslim countries, of which he's from one, and he's Muslim. And these gay New Yorkers, they're dancing the night away. Yeah, Mamdani, hey, that's insanity. And we know how women are treated, right? And out of all of the demos of his vote, the young white women, like over 80% of them voted for Mamdani, with the way that the Muslim world treats women, right? I mean, so, these liberals are stupid. They are useful idiots that, and what that acceptance speech of Mamdani's showed us is that what he's really like and what his real agenda is. Now, he may back off that a little bit, or he may not. He's already got the job. And he figures they're going to move so many Muslims to New York City. In 4 years, he'll be a shoo-in to get reelected. And what their goal is for him, and I'll tell you, who one of the biggest useful idiots are? The two, that in the Mamdani world, do you know who the two biggest useful idiots are? Who do you think? If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get to the calls in a little bit. But in the whole Mamdani movement in New York City, who are the two biggest useful idiots? Who do you think? I'm not going to go to the phones for this. Just think about it for a second. Mamdani's two biggest useful idiots. You know who they are? AOC and Bernie Sanders. Right? These two idiots put all their weight behind him. And they got a lot of following in that Democrat stupid socialist movement. And the plan is AOC thinks she's going to use this to become the senator. Maybe she will, but each state has 2 senators. Their plan is for Mamdani to be senator of New York State. Maybe governor, but senator. And get him. He can't be president because he wasn't born in the United States. They'll find somebody else for that they'll run for president. Okay? And this veteran here, what he's heartbroken about is what's happened to his great country and his great capital, London. Right? And he's seen what's happened and what he fought for, and he sees that their country has fallen. And to elect a Muslim mayor who's going to take the oath of office on the Holy Quran 25 years after 9/11, I think I and many other Americans are feeling like this Englishman, World War II veteran, about his country. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Bobby.
Oh, Bobby, yeah, he said his name and then he disconnected himself. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I know there's some heavy stuff, but these are the times we are living in. If you'd like to call in, the number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. Call us on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. I want to tell everyone about Dr. Appleton. Listen, Dr. Appleton, I was talking to him over the weekend. I went and saw him on Saturday, and he was explaining to me in more detail. It was the only time I'd gone to see him where I had not hurt myself or was in pain. I went to record some new commercials that will starting next week on the radio. And usually I'm over there, I'm in so much pain, I'm just, Doc, I just need the treatment, But he explained to me in more detail about the laser and what it does. And in particular, he was using my knee as an example. I had 30 years of suffering of knee pain from a car accident. He treated me twice, pain's gone, hasn't returned over 3 years later. Dr. Appleton's laser isn't just any old laser, it's a robotic laser. And what it does, it moves around the entire area where the pain, he's able to determine where the pain's coming from. And the robotic laser moves around the entire area of the body. So with my knee as an example, it treated the top, the sides, and even the backside of my knee. The entire knee, all the way around, 360, all got treated with the laser. And that's how it is on everything he treats you with. I didn't realize that before. It's amazing. The laser actually repairs the damage that's causing the pain. That's why the pain doesn't return. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. There's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Not only is it completely painless, you don't even feel it when it's happening. Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself. Give him a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain.
A high-profile trial should reassure the public that justice works. But what if it proved the opposite? A Crisis of Confidence, the trial of Karen Reed, available on Amazon, pulls back the curtain on one of the most divisive criminal cases in recent American history. It's the story of a woman accused of killing a Boston police officer and the courtroom battle that exposed the cracks in the system itself. Through reconstructed timelines and investigative reporting, Estonian Observer reveals how politics, power, and media influence shaped every step of the case. A Crisis of Confidence is more than just one woman's story. It's a wake-up call about what happens when performance overshadows truth and theater replaces evidence. Discover the truth for yourself and order your copy of A Crisis of Confidence, the trial of Karen Reed, available right now on Amazon. Sometimes the real crime happens in plain sight.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
In today's fast-moving industrial world, success depends on precision, reliability, and having the right people for the right job. That's where Asmont comes in. Asmont specializes in supplying skilled professionals for industrial projects across the globe. From industrial mechanics and fitters to assemblers and welders, their teams are ready to deliver results on site, wherever your project takes you. Whether you're building a new production line, erecting steel structures, or managing the relocation of an entire factory, Asmont provides the expertise to make it happen efficiently and safely. Their services cover machine assembly, industrial pneumatics, logistics, and production support across industries like industrial machinery manufacturing, construction, automotive, and civil engineering. When you need experience you can count on and specialists to adapt to your exact requirements, choose Asmont. Visit asmont.eu. That's ASMONT. Asmont, your partner in implementation of industrial projects, from machine assembly to technical support, providing specialists who will adapt to your needs. Go right now to asmont.eu and get a quick quote. asmont.eu.
All right. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Welcome back, everyone. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
It's Michael from California. How are you doing?
All right, Michael, what's up?
So, after the election results started to come in,
Oh, hold on. Let me enter these other lines coming in. Okay, all right. You're talking about Mamdani?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Talking about the Mamdani race?
Yes.
All right.
So, after the election results started coming in, I almost became a quote-unquote panikin, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I personally thought the GOP was asleep at the wheel. Then it dawned on me that this is just home turf for the Democrats.
Yeah.
They think this is a blue wave, but in reality, it's not.
Correct.
And the next morning, I started seeing polls come out from the swing states, the ones that actually matter for the presidential election, the Electoral College. Michigan, Mike Rogers, the Senate candidate, is beating every generic Democrat they have running against him by 7 points in every single poll that's came out so far. Arizona, and Andy Biggs, who's running for governor, is beating every single generic Democrat that's running against him. Another swing state that matters in the Electoral College. New York, Elise Stefanik, who just announced her ran for governor, she's beating Kathy Hochul.
Yeah,
so they think this is a blue wave, when it's not. That's not what it is. It may be a blue wave for their home turf, but
they basically the Democrats beat themselves. They ran against other Democrats and won.
That's all it was.
Yeah, and I give you like you guys in California, Governor Newsom, what was it, Prop 50 with the districts?
Right.
It doesn't change the population, the number of House members, and we're going to have this a proper census done, and California is going to lose representation in the House, which also, by the way, it's not just House seats. The way hold on a second. The way the Electoral College works is a state has as many Electoral College votes as they do House members. So California is not just going to lose House seats; they're going to lose Electoral College votes in the next census.
And as far as Tucker Carlson goes, I wrote that guy off a long time ago. He's as crazy as Candace Owens is lately, and
yes.
I don't listen to anything he has to say anymore. Steve was right. He's overhyped, and
yes.
I don't understand why we almost fell into that trap.
Well, it's not that I don't think I'm falling into a trap, but I want people to understand that these are all never Trumpers who are passing themselves off as MAGA, and there's this illusion that MAGA's turned, and I think I don't think anybody's pointed that out.
MAGA has not turned one bit.
No, these are all never all Tucker, Megyn, Shapiro, Mark Levin, all were never Trumpers.
They don't believe the crap that they're saying that comes out of their mouth. They're just trying to get aggregate lit up and clicks and likes, and that's how they make their money. That's all it is.
Well, that's how, you know what though.
Same.
I'm in the same. Obviously I'm not at the same level. I don't have the big corporate backing, but I'm in the but I'm in the same business they are. I make my living the same way they do. I'm not selling my principles out.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But I'm not selling my principles out like they are.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I appreciate you. And you're 100% honest with who you support, and you don't flip flop like they do. And that's why I like your show over them. And
well, I appreciate
I like Megyn Kelly, but I like Megyn Kelly still. But Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, no.
Let me tell you what. This is what I think is going on with Megyn Kelly. Couple things. Her podcast is syndicated through the same company that syndicates Tucker's podcast. That the company is owned by Fox News Corp. Okay, so she has some conflict there, and she's also trying to start her own media thing, like the Daily Wire kind of thing with podcast. That's why she has on Luke Lauren or whatever that Link Lauren and a couple other people. Link Lauren, and who's I like Link Lauren, but a little bit, he's like salt, right? A little bit goes a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like Link Lauren though, but he's a good guest. But watching an hour-long show will drive you up the.
Yeah,
but she's got
listening to Robert Kennedy would drive you nuts. Like I couldn't do it.
He sounds like Katharine Hepburn.
I honestly wish that he would be gone after this year and Dr. Oz would replace him. He at least knows, or Dr. Drew. They at least know how to articulate a message, and they're actually qualified.
But Megyn Kelly, I think, has some conflicts of interest business-wise, and she's also obsessed with views, clicks, and all that stuff, and trends and everything else.
Yeah, Alrighty, Brian. Well, you take care and have a great weekend, and keep up the great work. I really appreciate your show.
I appreciate you. Take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Carl Sandberg, calling from Massachusetts.
Okay. What's on your mind, Carl?
What's on my mind?
Well, you called me. I would imagine you had something to say. You called me.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I hear you.
I didn't call you.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't really have any type of agenda or anything to talk about.
Well, you should have. Well, then why? If you have nothing to say, why call?
Yeah, you're right.
All right, take care. All right, there you go. All right, on that note of agreement, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, David from Chicago.
Hey, David, what's up?
Well, I just think it's kind of funny that people take Tucker Carlson serious after you saw the whole thing when he went to Russia and he's talking about how cheap the prices are over there.
Yeah, I mean that interview he did with Putin was weak. I mean, I understand. Hey, listen, it was probably pretty scary to be in the Kremlin interviewing a dictator and all that kills people that oppose him. So you know what I mean? But then don't go do it. I would figure that out before I went.
The only scary thing about New York, though, is even with a split Democratic vote with between Mamdani and Cuomo, like the Republicans still didn't win. So that just shows it's so entrenched that there's no way of turning that
New York City is not going Republican. Giuliani was different. First of all, socially he was liberal. Remember that drag queen thing Giuliani did? He dressed in drag and some of it.
Yeah.
And Dinkins was a disastrous mayor, and Giuliani was a famous New Yorker when he ran against Mayor Dinkins because he was a famous prosecutor for putting the mob in prison. So he was kind of a legend, and you see Giuliani now. You don't know what he was like back then. He was a tough guy, and so it was a different time, and there were different factors in play. But I this morning I had a story from Front Page Magazine I covered on the morning show in detail. Mamdani only received 14% of the vote of registered voters in New York. They had a historically low turnout. Only 14% of registered voters voted for Mamdani. So it's not a New York mandate. They just had the media won this one because they convinced people he was unbeatable, so people stayed home and why bother? He's going to win. That's what happened. And Sliwa.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I know, this is not, if you want to cut me off because it's not specifically about the topic, the thing that I don't agree is that I think Trump should be a lot more bullish in just exposing. He could do a national emergency broadcast of like all the lies that the media has been done, about him. Like right now, how you showed about him basically not jumping to help the guy when there's a doctor right next to him, and he actually did try to help him, but he saw that it was taken care of.
I see what you're saying. I'd say a couple things about that. He doesn't do that in his first term. He spent half his day combating the media. That's a waste of time. He is working like 21 hours a day getting his agenda through. And today he had the prime minister from Hungary was in there meeting with him at the White House. And he did what you said. That's why he does these events all the time with the media that we would not normally see in the Oval Office or in the cabinet room. So there was an exchange between President Trump, Caroline Levitt, and the media about prices and how they are coming down. And the Hungarian prime minister said, "Hey, can I hire her? Can she come work for me in Hungary?" Caroline Levitt. So he is doing that, but he's not spending his afternoons arguing with Jim Acosta in a press briefing like he did the first term. And I'm glad. I think that's a waste of time. You're not going to convince them.
But I think there's a lot of people that just have misinformation, like with COVID and all this other stuff. So I would assume that could carry over to politics. And if he spent it less, doing the tweet with the jet and, with the defecating on the protest, I think it would be better with, reels of Democrats supporting deporting.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's only so many hours in the day, and he's taken on the cartel. There's just not enough hours in the day to sit around dealing with these trashy people in the media. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call, though. You made some good points.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, take care.
All right, you take care, too. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Jeremy. I'm from Texas, Brian. How you doing?
All right, Jeremy. What's on your mind?
All right, so I have one question for you, Brian, but I want to preface it a little bit. So I'll start by saying I'm from a smaller town, never saw much of this growing up, and once I got into high school, I started seeing more of the communist, socialist type kids or whatever around my area, but now it just seems to have spread everywhere. And with their thoughts in communism, they feed off of capitalistic structures, so the economic structures for sure. And I'm wondering, how do you think they're going to stop with the gains from all of us who actually work within the economy and we produce?
Well, this is what happens. Okay, when I was younger, I was liberal because I didn't know what was going on, and there was a moment in my life where I switched and became a conservative. I've told this story many times on the air, but not for a long time. But I'll give you the very brief version of it. I did my taxes, and for the first time, I owed money. That was it. Now, I was never some communist socialist, but then I had an awakening. You know what I mean? So when you talk about, in fact, I thought it was a mistake. I redid my taxes and found out, I owed money, right? And I was like, oh my goodness. So what you're talking about are people that haven't grown up. Children. Even AOC, she hasn't grown up. She's not married. She has no children. She has no family. So you're dealing with children. And when they grow up and become productive members of society and start paying taxes and paying their own bills, many of them will become conservative. It's part of growing up.
So, and going off of that, if they don't have to grow up because the government subsidizes their lives, then how are we ever going to...
Well, who are you talking about? The illegals are different. You're talking about like the migrants?
Well, no, I'm talking about pretty much half a society that lives off the government.
Well, I know that's crazy, right? They say there's 42 million on SNAP. I don't know. I don't think it's 42 million. I think there's a lot of people are getting multiple benefits, but it's a lot. Yeah, there are obviously tens of millions of people that know how to get through life without working and manipulating government benefits. Yeah, that's true, but it's not that many people when you think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's somewhere between 5 and 10% of the population. A lot of the migrants, see, they use their anchor baby children to get benefits because their children were born here, so they qualify. So they use their children to get benefits. There's all kinds of things. I agree with you. It's a problem, but that's not the average person. Those people are losers and bums anyway that live their life on welfare. When you're talking about productive people like these college kids and stuff, once they get out in the real world and mommy and daddy aren't paying for things and they make enough money where they have to pay taxes, then they'll get red pilled. That's how it happens.
Exactly. All right, Brian. Well, I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you. All right, take care. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We got a lot more to cover. But first, I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Frank from West Palm. How you doing there?
All right,
Brian,
Frank.
you were absolutely correct. LaPorta Roofing was amazingly phenomenal. They just completed my roof last week, and LaPorta Roofing was superb in all ways imaginable when installing the new roof on my residence. Tom LaPorta meticulously spearheaded the entire project from inception through to the finalization of the assignment. Tom handled all the paperwork involving city permits, inspectors, and my community HOA. He was always available, ensuring me that he had my back in all phases of the project. Additionally, Tom, Scott, and Dan, and the entire crew were very well organized with the plan, consistent with all policies and procedures, and craftsmanship was exemplary in all stages of the design execution. Tom, Scott, and Dan maintained continual contact with me, the homeowner, asking if there were any questions I had or anything further I needed. LaPorta Roofing is, in every respect, a stellar, 5-star, AAA, family-owned company that is a reliable, peace-of-mind roofing organization. These guys are spot on with regards to perfection, and they demand it. I remain mesmerized upon the completion of the job. My roof is a masterpiece. And one last thing before I forget, they were the least expensive quote that I received out of 4 quotes for roofing. I thank Tom LaPorta Roofing for all that they do.
Wow, Frank. Well, thanks so much. Tom LaPorta at LaPorta Roofing. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. Also, don't forget, Tom LaPorta will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He can also handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home or an HOA with over 200 units. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom LaPorta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaPortaRoofing.com. Frank, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Brian. You have a wonderful day.
What if your idea could change the world? In the book, The Innovation Club, available on Amazon from author Hillary O. Harrell, 5 8th grade friends, Ben, Tom, Emily, Abigail, and Mia, discover that imagination is more than a dream. It's a blueprint for the future. Inspired by a school event, they form a club to turn bold ideas into real inventions, facing setbacks, breakthroughs, and discovering the courage it takes to keep going. Their journey mirrors every true innovator's path, from spark to success. The Innovation Club is filled with interactive riddles, creative challenges, as well as thought experiments that let readers join the adventure, building imagination, teamwork, and problem-solving skills along the way. The Innovation Club inspires the next generation of thinkers and creators in the age of AI. Imagine it, build it, change the world. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and free with Kindle Unlimited. The Innovation Club from author Hillary O. Harrell.
On the line, we have Gina. She's a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. Gina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, thanks. So you went and met with Joe Thomas about annuities. Can you tell me about your experience?
I can't say enough good things about my experience with Joe Thomas. He's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is. He talks in plain language so that you know, because I didn't know anything about this stuff when I retired. So I walked into his office, and immediately I felt comfortable. And I said, look, I know nothing about this. I don't want to lose my shirt. So please guide me in the right direction so that I'll be set. And he sure did. And I'm very happy that I went there. And I even got my mother to join, too. Now I feel comfortable that I'm set, and I don't have to worry about running out of money.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than running out of money before you run out of life, right?
Exactly.
Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Gina, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Let me give you an example. This is scary. This woman here that you're going to hear from, she's a minister with the United Methodist Church, and she's talking about Mamdani and the things she's saying about if she really truly is a minister with the United Methodist Church, I don't know what method they have to remove people from the ministry, but she has to. What she has done is so anti-Christian. I've never seen anything like this. Listen to this.
Zohran Mamdani might be one of the most Christ-like political figures in our American system right now. And hear me out. I'm Blair. I'm a pastor, a parent, and a professor of theology. And I understand that Zohran is Muslim. That's not the point here. The point here is the way that Zohran describes his own philosophy of the government. In a recent interview with The Daily and the New York Times, he said, "What democratic socialism means is a belief that it is government's job to ensure that every person is living a life of dignity. And dignity is not the things that you'd like, it's not the things that you'd want, and it's the things that you need." I'm going to say that one more time. The government's job is to ensure that every person is living a life of dignity. And when I read the scriptures and look at what Jesus does for people in his ministry, it is ensure them a life of dignity. It's to heal people who've been exiled because of their illness or their disability. It's to feed people when they're hungry. It's to see children as beloved and to belonging to the community instead of as property or possessions. It's to see women the same way. Jesus ensures a life of dignity for all those he meets. And so if you want to talk about instituting a Christian government, I would pay attention to what Zohran Mamdani is doing. Because what he is describing is a Christ-like system of government where we are all assured the basic necessities for human dignity. And I think that looks like the kingdom of God.
Wow. So she's saying that Zohran, she said it, Zohran is a Jesus-like figure and is a Christian movement. She's a minister with the United Methodist Church and a professor at, I guess, one of their divinity schools or something. I don't know what that, I was listening a couple weeks back. I can't remember the story. I referenced it on the air, but you guys know how many shows I do. This was a few weeks back. I was listening to someone talking about Islam, and they were saying that Islam recognizes Mary, the Virgin Mary, the Holy Mother. And now I'm hearing this. There's a big move to Islamify Christianity in this country. We're seeing it with her, this story that I heard with this commentator a couple weeks ago. And what she has said is, first of all, she needs to be removed from whatever professorship she has within the church. And if she's one of these lady priests that the Methodist Church has, she needs to be removed from the priesthood. She needs to be defrocked, or whatever you call it in the Methodist Church. You know, there's two Methodist churches, okay? There's the southern one, and then there's the other one. They got different names. One's liberal, one's conservative. In fact, in most denominations, they have two wings of it, right? That's why you hear about Southern Baptists. There's Baptists that aren't Southern Baptists. The Southern Baptists, at least historically, are the most conservative. Similar thing goes for the Methodist. But I don't know which one she's a part of. Who knows if there's even a conservative wing of these Protestant churches anymore in this country. That is so disturbing. I'm almost reluctant to even share it because I've never heard someone talk about Jesus in such a way. But she's saying that Mamdani is a Christian movement, and a figure much like Jesus. I mean, that's the type of person that voted for Mamdani last week. The millennials and Gen Z are so brainwashed, and this is why they killed Charlie Kirk. They assassinated Charlie Kirk because he was red pilling this generation that they had brainwashed to think insane things like that. Her poor parents, or she says she's a professor at the Methodist University. Her poor students, how could that even be allowed? Listen to this. Old lady Jane Fonda here.
Was I 100% happy with President Biden? Absolutely not. I get so mad at people who say, I don't like him, so I'm not going to vote. One young person, and I said, if we don't get Biden reelected, or then it was Kamala.
You know what's really weird about Jane Fonda? She's not recognizable, okay, here. But her voice is the same, right? It's almost like Jane Fonda's voice has been transplanted into some old lady.
We're going to have fascism. And this young person said to me, we already have fascism. We don't teach civics anymore, so they don't understand. What's happening now is leading to fascism.
Do you think Democrats need to change their messaging?
Absolutely.
How do you think they should change their messaging?
78 million people voted for Trump. They're not all MAGA.
Oh.
A lot of them were people who were just really angry and really hurting because they can't pay for things that they need. Healthcare, groceries, it's getting worse now. And so those people are going to have buyer's remorse. And we cannot judge them. We have to open our arms and welcome them. We need a big tent. Biden and Kamala didn't talk enough about the working class people. What the Democrats have to talk about is income inequality, what the Republicans are doing to our democracy, and to health care, and to food, and everything else. Everything we buy is going to be more expensive because of what Trump is doing.
Okay. So, yeah, that was an LA Times interview. So, Hanoi Jane here, okay, I really don't pay too much attention to Jane Fonda, but I played that clip. And the reason I played that clip is because this is a common theme with the Democrats. I've heard Obama talk about this a lot, and you hear Carville and others talk about this. The Democrats, we've got the Democrats on the ropes to be defeated. They don't recognize how popular President Trump is, right? She said 78 million voted for Trump. They're not MAGA. How could they be MAGA? And what Jane Fonda is saying is what James Carville is saying, many liberal pundits, Obama says all the time. It's not their positions, men and women's sports, men boxing, beating women up in the Olympics and the boxing matches. That's not their problem. They're just not messaging enough. If they would message differently, this bizarro agenda that they have, people would understand this is the way. So they're not changing anything they're doing. In fact, they're doubling and quadrupling down on their liberalism. They think the problem is in their messaging. Like, I give an example. Here's Eric Holder.
No, the point that you make there is an extremely important one. The courts have generally held. If you look at what's happening at the district court level, at the Court of Appeals level, doesn't matter who the president was who appointed the judge. The judges have ruled, I think, courageously and correctly. It's only when you get to the Supreme Court that you see these problems start to arise, and it's the use of this overuse of the shadow docket. By taking these cases and essentially deciding them without hearing any oral argument, without any adequate briefing, deciding these really important matters in that way challenges the legitimacy of the court and does an untold amount of damage to the legal fabric of this nation. I think, the reality is, and it pains me to say this, I think the Supreme Court is a broken institution. And it's something that has to be, I think, a part of the national conversation in 26 and in 28. What are we going to do about the Supreme Court? And I think that we have to think about, again, talking about the acquisition and the use of power. If there is a Democratic trifecta in 2028, and I think the possibility of that is pretty good, Supreme Court reform is something that has to be considered. Term limits, I think, at a minimum, potentially expanding the court is something I think that also should be considered. We cannot leave in place without a discussion, at least, and I think without substantive reforms being put in place, this Supreme Court as it is presently constituted.
Okay, so, he has these keywords that they use, right? Supreme Court reform, and then he said it at the end, add justices to the Supreme Court. Well, I'll support that. Let's do that right now. Let's give Trump 3 more appointments. You guys go for that? I'll give him 4 more appointments. What the hell? Let's add 4 more seats. Give them all to Trump right now. But they don't want to do it now. They want to wait. They don't want that to happen until they get a Democrat president in. But you see how these tyrants, they're calling us dictators. They're saying, well, the Supreme Court, it's not going our way, so we're just going to pack it. When we get a Democrat president with young Democrats so that we can fix the court. They want a crooked kangaroo court is what they want. And they're out there bragging about it. But we're the fascist? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Brian. I'm calling from Tennessee.
What's up?
I'd like to ask you, do you think that Barack Obama and Donald Trump work for the same handler?
No, what a ridiculous question. Of course not. Trump has no handler.
Well, it's not so ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's stupid. What you said, stupid. It's completely stupid, what you just said. President Trump has no handlers.
You're highly invested and you get paid off of the project. So
what? What project is paying me?
You make your living off of the parties. So why don't you listen to somebody that doesn't?
Well, slow down for a second. Slow down a second. Who is President Trump's handler in your delusion?
A different aspect of the farm than Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't even know what that means. I don't even think you know what that means. I just think you like to say Jeffrey Epstein.
So you're insulting me. You're a very intelligent guy.
I'm not insulting you. You're insulting yourself by saying stupid things.
Your audience by asking rhetorical questions that have
no. You said you asked a question which I don't understand. You said, do you think
why
that?
Why don't you talk to me like a reasonable person?
You said you asked
your
me.
Audience,
excuse me. I'm not lying, because I don't disagree with you. You asked me.
You're profiting off of it for
yes, this is what I do for a living. That's a big secret. How many commercials have you heard me do since you've listened to me?
Yeah, but why don't you be a little bit more transparent with yourself and your audience?
What do you mean? I'm here live every day. I am here live. I am here every day. I am here live every day taking screenless phone calls.
They can't get out of because they're compromised.
Excuse me. I'm going to put you on hold and just take turns. I am here live every day taking live unscreened phone calls, unvetted phone calls. You don't get more transparent than that. Now, you asked me a question. You said, do I think that Obama and Trump have the same handler? And I'm trying to figure out who in your delusion is Trump's handler.
Okay, so essentially, if you go back and rewind the wheel, you'll note that Donald Trump had to get help to get out of bankruptcy quite frequently in the 80s and 90s. So it would be logical for him to go to a fixer, someone like Epstein, who reaches back to Iran-Contra. And in the process of that relationship, they had a little bit of a roar over some real estate in Florida. Now, they got along pretty well on a number of different issues, but Epstein invited him over to take a look at the $36 million property that he bid on to see where we could move the pool.
Yeah.
And Trump overbid him. Epstein knew he had the money.
Okay, I get it. So Epstein's been dead for years. So who's his handler now?
A different faction of the farm.
The farm?
Epstein.
The funny farm where you're calling from? Who else? Who is this person?
It's an intelligence agency, sir. Okay.
If Epstein's been dead for years, so give me the name. Who is Trump's handler today?
Well, of course, I don't have purview of that.
Oh, well, you have all this knowledge. I got. How many times a day do you say the name Jeffrey Epstein or Epstein on an average day?
But let's get to the evidence.
No, how many times a day do you say that name? Because you seem to. Oh my goodness. You know, there's one thing that really gives me a headache. You know what that is? Listening to crazy people. Listening to crazy people gives me a headache. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Tristan, Colorado.
Hey, Tristan.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Question for you. What do you think the Mossad... Okay, there's a better way to ask that question. Mossad.
Yes.
Do you believe they have any influence in our governmental decision making?
No.
None at all.
Nope.
Okay. Do you believe that they had some influence in the lack of release of the Epstein tape? Or Epstein
So again,
file?
with the Epstein, what is this? Some Reddit group telling people to call me? Some Epstein weirdo saying, call Brian, mention Epstein? What is it with you guys and Epstein?
This was solely, I just popped on your show, so
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that.
No, Mossad has no influence over Trump. That's the government right now.
Okay. Now, why do you believe that to be true when there's obvious signs?
Because when President Trump found out about Jeffrey Epstein, he went to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and reported him. And the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, before it was a national story, began with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and it began when President Trump reported him to the local police. We then found out a few weeks back that President Trump was a confidential informant for the FBI in the Epstein case. He helped bring down Epstein.
That is all true, right?
Yeah.
So what would be the explanation in your mind as to why these files have not been moved forward?
I think, well, I tell you, okay, over the Trump term here, we've gotten all these files released. I give you an example. I don't know, how old are you?
31.
31, so you might be too young. But through my entire life, from the time I was a little boy, there were these endless Kennedy conspiracy theories, right? Just endless, you know? And I do believe there was a conspiracy. I talk about this a lot. The people that shot Trump and Butler killed Kennedy. And there's been endless discussion in movies and documentaries and books about the men who killed Kennedy, or the JFK movie with Oliver Stone. It went on for decades. And all we wanted were the files. We finally got the files a few months ago. Did you see what they found in them?
In which files are you specifically
The JFK files. The President Trump.
JFK files. Okay.
They found.
Okay.
Did you
Sure,
see
sure.
what they found? President Trump released all of them, and they declassified, and it's pretty much all redacted. None of it's redacted. Did you see what they found in the Kennedy files when Trump released all of them a few months ago? Did you see?
And what specifically are you referring to?
There was nothing in there. Nothing. See, when people are doing crimes, they don't document them in government files and file them away, right? You know, so there was nothing in the Kennedy files. But the reason that they kept them secret so long was not because there were any secrets there, right? There was nothing in them. But there's a lot of names of people they talked to. And while those names are meaningless in 2025, back in 65 or 75, their lives would have been destroyed when they had nothing to do other than some cop questioned them or something. With the Epstein files, it's a similar thing. The people that are doing illegal things don't document their crime in files that are locked away for people to get. So whatever exists is useless and has names in it of people that have nothing to do with anything, and it would be devastating to their life. But you guys got to move beyond Epstein. He's been dead for years. He was shut down. His creepy business was shut down years before that. He hasn't been in operation in a decade or more, and he's been dead for many, many years. So you got to move on to something that's more relevant instead of being obsessed with some sex freak perv pedo that's been dead for years.
Sure, and I agree with you in that sense. I guess.
All right, I'm gonna move. I appreciate the call. Now, if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of the episode to my Patreon page. There's a lot of perks if you become a Patreon supporter. You get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes. I do a live stream that's exclusively for Patreon supporters on the Patreon platform itself. Right? It's a live stream like I do on YouTube with a chat room and everything, except it's a troll-free zone. Any trolls become Patreon supporters, they get kicked out immediately. We don't allow trolls. We don't allow liberals to become Patreon supporters. So it's a troll-free chat room exclusive to Patreon supporters. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen on YouTube and a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SF Jr., Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, Lizep, Shauna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. These are my top Patreon supporters. And also, there's a lot of other exclusive things that both my wife and I post to Patreon that we post nowhere else. Again, there's a link to my Patreon page in the link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening on, or you can go directly to the website patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. That's patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you next time. Take care.